Hey friends, it is 2023 and I haven't made a video in a while. And part of that is because I wasn't really sure what direction I wanted to go with this channel because a lot of things in life were shifting and changing, but I do know that I always love talking about wellness and well-being, probably always will. So that's what I'm sticking to for now. And I want to share with you 4 things that I did in 2022 that had a big impact on my well-being. And none of those things has anything to do with diet, with exercise, or with sleep. The first thing was I joined a co-working space, and this has been such a big one. I work from home. I have for several years, and I really love the benefits of it. Having unlimited time with my dog, being able to cook whenever I want, being able to work from anywhere in the world, all of those things are awesome and I wouldn't trade them. But there was something about 2022 that was making it lose its charm a little bit. And I just really wanted to be around people, not just around people, but connected with people. Going to a coffee shop wasn't really doing it for me. So I joined a co-working space and it's been so good. First of all, anytime I go, I am laser focused when I'm there. For me, having ambient sound like music playing, people talking, and just the awareness that people around me are also working, it helps me a lot to stay focused. So I tend to go there on days when I need to get a lot of writing done or I need time to just think and analyze, and it helps so much. And of course, the best part of going there is the people. I've connected with the other regulars there, and I'm always really happy to see them. When I don't go, I feel like I miss them and I want to reconnect with them. And when I see them, I can tell they're happy to see me, and that feels so nice. It's just so nice to have that real life in-person connection. Of course, I feel extremely connected to my colleagues at my company who work all over the world, but I don't get to see them in person very often. And so having people that I get to see regularly who I really enjoy being around, feels so great. It's so uplifting. I highly recommend, if you work from home, to check out a co-working space in your area. This particular one is in West Palm Beach. It's called the Studio 1016. It's fantastic. The people there are great. I'll have a link for it in the comments below, of course. A second thing I did, which was huge, is I did a grief recovery program with an incredibly brilliant woman named Agnes. And this was huge. This was huge. One of the biggest earth-shifting moments in 2022 was when my grandmother passed away in March. And I was grieving deeply for the loss of her, which of course brought up so many emotions and so many memories and grief from all kinds of situations in my life. And I found my way to Agnes, who led me through this grief recovery program with the intention of completing the grief. And I can't quite express how profound and important that work was. And what it's helped me to feel is lighter, happier, clearer, and really so much more loving. And I feel like my capacity for all those things has expanded because there isn't so much blocking it that I wasn't aware that it was there until I worked with her. So I highly recommend it. I think as adults, we all have loss that we haven't really processed or worked through, and there's really no way to tell how much that's holding you back until you actually dive into it and deal with it. So Agnes is fantastic. Again, I will link to her work in the comments because I think everyone should work with her. She's also incredibly intuitive, and some of the things that she reflected back to me helped me make other big changes in my life as well, such as these next two that I'm going to tell you about right now. So the third thing that was a big shift for me in 2022 was that towards the second half of the year, I let go of my side gig. And I hesitate to say it because who knows, it could change again. But holding on to my side gig of coaching, as much as I love coaching and as much as I love the people I worked with, it added this layer of pressure to my life in addition to my full-time job that was leaving me with this constant feeling of not doing enough. And I think there's many reasons for that. And one of them is just this idea of entrepreneurship as the most important way that you can succeed. And having side gigs, at least here in the US, is such a big thing. It's such an important thing. And I felt like if I wasn't working on my coaching business, then I was wasting my time. And that was a really unhealthy feeling and an unhealthy approach. So I let it go, and it has allowed me the time and space to reconnect with my creativity and to focus on my creative aspirations that I have long neglected. Basically, I realized I had this idea that, oh, if I can just keep building my coaching business, then eventually that's what I'll shift towards, and then I'll have lots of time to work on my creative stuff. But that's just an example of putting off the things that you really want to be doing. I really wanted to be connecting to my creativity. And letting go of my side gig helped with that more than you can imagine. I even submitted an essay to the New York Times. I have no idea if it'll be published, but submitting it was really the win. So that felt really good. And it also leads to the fourth thing that I've done for my well-being that has made a huge difference, which is I picked up my sketchbook again. And I picked it up with great enthusiasm. So I've been making art ever since I was a little girl, though in adulthood, I just could never find a place for it in my life with any consistency. I would pick things up here and there, do a little project here and there, but I really wanted to know what it was like to have it as a constant presence, and for some reason I just couldn't seem to get there. And honestly, a big part of it, I realize, is just the self-consciousness of being an adult and feeling like I have to produce something of a certain quality or of a certain profound meaning, and that creating for the sake of creating is not enough. And I've let go of all of that. I signed up for a couple courses on domestika.org, which is just fantastic for anything creative. I highly recommend it. And it just helped me let go of that self-consciousness and get into the habit of sketching and drawing and recording important moments of my life in my journal. And that feels really great. So sketching, yes, and creativity, so important for the well-being. So all those things again. Number one, I joined a co-working space. Number two, I did grief recovery. Number three, I let go of my side gig. And number four, I picked up my sketchbook again. I'm curious to know if any of those things resonated with you or how that's hitting you. And I feel like I could go deeper on any one of these topics. What it really comes down to is being super clear on priorities, and that is something that I will talk about again. So what I'll leave you with is, if you could just take a moment to pause and reflect on what would you ideally want your priority to be? So not what you think it should be or what someone else is telling you it should be, but if you could have a priority that feels really good to you, what would it be? And just be as honest and clear with yourself as possible. And then ask yourself, how can I make this happen? So some examples might be, you want to prioritize taking a bubble bath 3 times a week. Or maybe you want to prioritize writing poetry or writing letters. Maybe you want to prioritize baking. Who knows? But something that is going to fill you up and make you feel good. What would that be? I'm super curious to know. Let me know in the comments below. I can't wait to hear, and Happy New Year.